Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you very much for your continued support. The Kenyan Parliament has been accused of abdicating its duty, both the upper chamber and the lower chamber. Because in the Kenyan Constitution, parliamentarians have got three major roles. One is representative. Under our Constitution, we have a two-tier government, that of the national and the county. At all levels, we elect these members as senators and as members of parliament to represent us and to represent our interests. And it means that anytime there is an issue to be debated upon, we expect our parliamentarians to carry the aspirations of their people. When they vote on a matter, they must ask how they are going to vote. They must ask us what or how we want them to vote. So that is number one, representative. Then the other one is legislative. They are supposed to be making laws on our behalf. And as they sponsor motions and bills in parliament, they are supposed to do that having our interest at heart. And then the last one is oversight. They are supposed to check the executive, that is in the sense of the National Assembly. And senators are also supposed to oversight. That is why anytime a governor is impeached, it will be brought to them. Or the other time when the former deputy president Rigathi Gachagua was impeached, it first passed through the National Assembly, then it went to the Senate. So it is representative, legislative, and oversight. But they're being accused and they have come under sharp criticism as leaders who have abrogated their duties. The last one is that our parliament is a branch of the government. We have the executive headed by the president. We have the judiciary headed by the Chief Justice, and of course, our parliament, the two houses, have got their speakers. Now, they are being accused of abdicating that independence. They are not exercising their autonomy. They have decided to become a puppet of the executive. And I want us to listen to what Edwin Sifuna is saying about our current parliament, because Edwin Sifuna is saying that Kenyans are so tired of our parliament that if they are given an opportunity to vote, the entire house would be voted out, and is sending a warning to them. Can you take a look?
Wananchi wanangoja sana. Mimi nakwambia, yani kwa leo atea.
Yes.
Mungu akafanya muujiza, Wakenya waamke wasikie kesho ndio uchaguzi.
Yes.
Watafurahi sana. Watafurahi sana. Wakenya, kwa sababu unajua Wakenya wamechoka. Wakenya wamechoka na viongozi.
Unasema uchaguzi ukaandaliwa leo.
Uchaguzi ukaandaliwa leo, watu ambao wataenda nyumbani ni wengi kushinda wale ambao watabaki. Hiyo ni kitu ambacho sina dukuduku lolote. Kwa sababu Wakenya wamechoka na ukora ambao unafanywa na wabunge wao, kwamba leo unachaguliwa wewe unasema wewe ni mtu wa ODM, kwamba utasimama na sera fulani, utakuwa watetea wananchi, ya kwamba unaamini katika katiba, lakini kesho wewe ndio mwenye kusimama na kuwatisha wananchi, unasema sijui utawakujia, sijui unasema hata hii maoni ya wananchi hautaki. Leo Wakenya wakapewa fursa sasa, ati leo tunaenda kwenye uchaguzi, na kuambia Wakenya wanaweza kufurahi sana.
Now, many Kenyan experts have been trying to juxtapose what just happened in South Korea and the situation in Kenya. In South Korea, their president Yoon decided to impose martial law. And I just want us to look at very briefly, because we've been reading this, and I want us to just understand what this means. It says that South Korea's constitution gives the president the power to use the military to keep order in wartime, warlike situations, or other comparable national emergency states. Imposing martial law can include things like suspending civil rights such as the freedom of the press and assembly, and temporarily limiting the powers of the courts and government agencies. So that is what their president did. by imposing martial law, and in fact, he charged the military to the streets. But the constitution also gives the National Assembly power to lift the declaration with the majority votes. Now, after President Yoon decided to impose martial law, the parliamentarians rushed to parliament when they heard that what the president had done. And in a unanimous decision, they reversed the president's attempt to impose martial law on them. Now that has really caught the attention of many, and I want us to go to what Donald Kipkorir is saying. Kipkorir is saying that South Korea MPs show why their country is one of the richest and developed in the world. There, MPs put country above self. They voted 190-0 against the president imposing martial law in violation of the constitution. In Kenya, MPs are cheap dancing marionettes. They clap for the president when he says Adani is good and cheer when he says Adani is bad. Our MPs will never offer honest advice and oversight to the president. Ladies and gentlemen, do you agree with Donald Kipkorir? Because 100% what Donald is saying is true. When William Ruto defended this Adani deal, all of them were saying Adani is good. And then after the president, decides to cancel, or rather pretend that he's canceling the Adani deal, they were also clapping. Now, if you compare that to what happened in Korea, you will realize that the MPs in Korea decided to leave alone, put aside their sectarian politics, and they looked at the nation, and that is the true meaning of there comes a time when a nation is bigger than an individual. Can you imagine in Kenya, can that happen if William Ruto decides to maybe imposes a curfew or suspends the law, suspends the constitution? Do you think we have MPs who've got the guts who can tell the president this is wrong and vote against the president's decision? I don't think so. And when you look back, you will realize that in 2023, when William Ruto forced them to vote for the Finance Bill 2023, they did that. How do we know? Wamaua, who is a member of parliament, told us that that document was so voluminous that she didn't have time to read. What does that mean? That they simply listened to William Ruto and they obeyed orders. Kenyans promulgated a new constitution and they gave the legislative arm of the government independence, autonomy to act without any interference. The same way they have given William Ruto and the executive autonomy, the same way they have given Martha Koome and the judiciary autonomy. But what happens in many times, the executive arm of the government, because it's controlling the military and the police, it pockets all these other arms. And if you want to understand the main reason why Gen Zs had to go to the street, it was because of the mistake by our members of parliament. They decided to vote yes to pass the Finance Bill 2024 until the Gen Zs said enough is enough. We are not going to allow this. Had the MPs put the interest of the nation at heart, because they knew very well after public participation that Kenya was not ready for that bill, but they acted with impunity. They ignored the voices that voted them to represent them, and that's why I'm telling you that they've abdicated their duties as of representation. And people went to the street. It led to people being kidnapped, people being killed, just because of the sheer mistake. Had they voted in accordance to what the people elected them had instructed, they wouldn't have plunged this nation into that kind of mayhem. Now, I will still repeat that the other day, we saw one member of parliament telling Mount Kenya, Mwangi Kiunjiri to be very specific, that they need to worship William Ruto if they want development. And Kenyans are still reeling from the shocking statements from Junaid Mohammed and Joho, warning people who are using social media to criticize the government. And people are asking, what is the difference between Korea and Kenya? You've seen leaders say that when Kenya gained independence, that we were at par, economically speaking, with South Korea. Now we understand why South Korea has surpassed us. We ran there begging for loans. If we were at par in 1960, then today we run to South Korea to beg for aid and loans. The answer is with our leadership. It is because we don't have a leadership that listens to the people. They listen, but all the pleas of the people fall on deaf ears. They don't make decisions that carry the aspirations of Kenyans. Now, if you look at the legislation that they give, the bills in Parliament, one of them being that they want to make a law that will bar IEBC from streamlining election results. Another one is, the other day I saw, I don't know, was it Geoffrey Ruto who was saying he had sponsored a bill, the anti-Mandamano bill, restricting people who go for protests. Look at that. Such are the kind of motions that they want to give us, yet Kenyans are suffering. And from this, we understand why some nations are developed, and the reason why we will continue to be called developing nations. No wonder we get annoyed when the superpowers call us third world country. These are the reasons why we are third world. A whole MP cannot go back to the people elected him and tell and ask, how do you want me to vote? They will always listen to their de facto leaders. Wiper leaders will vote how Kalonzo wants it. ODM will vote after getting instructions from Raila. And of course, UDA. That is what happened during the Gachagua impeachment motion. Kalonzo's people, majority of them, tried to save Rigathi Gachagua. ODM and UDA, because of Ruto and Raila, voted unanimously to impeach him. They listen to their party leaders. And if we want to grow as a nation, then we have to start behaving and making decisions like South Korea, putting the country first and every other thing candle. Our parliament is being manipulated. They are being bought, they are cheap, and they lack independence. I know this might sound very bitter, but it is the bitter truth. Do you agree with Sifuna? Do you agree with Donald Kipkorir? And when you juxtapose Kenya and South Korea, what is your take? Kindly share with me in the comment section.